Hello folks, welcome to everyone. Today I'd like to continue examining the evidence for potential mud flood, reset city or any other anomalies in our West Australian and particularly Perth history. Perth was originally settled as the Swan River Colony, and that happened in 1829 basically when they got here. Now, our history as we're taught it, there's nothing before 1829. Basically, it's all the other side of Australia, 1788. This is what I grew up on in New South Wales. We were established in 1788. We basically wiped out half of the Indigenous population and left the rest in tatters, and gradually took over the entire country. So moving in my later life to Western Australia, the history we know here, we celebrate 1829 as our foundation. So the colony was established and slowly grew, very slowly, and I've got some numbers coming up and some dates for you. What they totally miss is all this basically. And now I've found maps from 1619, I believe, onwards that have names on places. So whether there was anyone here, well, you decide for yourselves. I'll just keep rolling out the information. So you can read all this. None of it particularly affects what we're looking at because this is the official story. We're going to look at just the physical evidence at this point, really. So 1829, it happened. In here it states formal possession taken by Captain Fremantle. So that's Captain Fremantle of the Parmelia. So that was the foundation of Perth and Fremantle. There's a whole lot of not real important stuff to our story here. But it was settled as a free colony. We didn't get convicts until 1850, so that was 21 years later. And basically that was at the request for convicts. So this is where we are. This is Perth City. This is the river flowing inland, flowing outwards. We've got the Narrows, Kings Park. This is the bridge to South Perth area. All of this is Kings Park. It is massive and we're very fortunate to have it. This is the Canning River offshoot, and then we head twisting and twining down the river to Fremantle here, and this is most of the port works on Rouse Head at the northern end. So this is north up this way, south down here, down, and you're heading east to come inland. The coast is the west, obviously, Western Australia. So Western Australia, Indigenous people, lots of shipwrecks, not much happened. Perhaps some people were retained from the shipwrecks. They managed to survive, settled with the Indigenous people. So all of this amounts to lots of shipwrecks and lots of bits and pieces in the museum, but apparently none of them really got very far on the land and nothing happened. So the Swan River Colony, again, 1829, major towns of the colony developed slowly into the port city of Fremantle. So basically suburbia surrounds all of it at present. Fremantle is 20 miles, 30 kilometres from Perth. So from 1829 military outpost at Bunbury. Now, Bunbury is 170 kilometres away, but it is another coastal port. So I assume that they were getting there by sea, not by land, if they've only just gotten here. Also in 1830, Augusta, which is 300 kilometres away, also on the coast, must have been settled by sea, because I can't imagine they were getting there by land, but you never know. Ingenuity, horse and cart. And then, yes, first explorations of the Darling Ranges. So they actually crossed the Darling Ranges, which on this, so you've got the river, Perth up here. This is the mountain ranges behind us to the east. And they actually settled, where is it? The town of York in 1831. So that was only 2 years after arriving. And I will get onto York also at a later date. From there, that's probably all we need to know. We move into the convict era. Like I said, apparently not a lot happened before the convicts get here. Now, there is mention in here, and apparently it's been hushed up in a lot of history. They actually mention of it. They had, where is it? Parkhurst apprentices. So in 1842, small numbers of juvenile offenders were permitted. So basically the settlers supposedly didn't want them. They were allowed to come if they were under 16. So 234 juvenile prisoners were transported, none of them above 15 years of age. James Batty doesn't mention that in his account at all. I must look deeper to see if it comes up later. So we get our convicts and we can start building stuff, apparently. So 1853 to 1856, they start building Perth Jail. Now, I don't know where they housed them before that. Apparently they didn't really need much housing and they were shipped out here, there and everywhere as cheap or free labour. So in 1853, I've got 1854, we started building a jail for all the prisoners that we were loaning out to everybody to do their work. The jail, now that's an interesting one. I don't know what the numbers are on the picture. This is Wikipedia. So, yeah, that's an interesting photo. This doesn't really look like it belongs to me, and you'll see why. But, you decide for yourselves. I'm just going to point out light, shadow, light, shadow, light, shadow, light, shadow, shadow. Where's this light coming from as opposed to where's this light coming from? Shadow, light. You get what I'm saying. This one is a complete fairy tale. And again, if you're looking at the shadows and you're looking at the outlines, I don't know. Is this a photo? Is this a drawing? Make up your own mind, folks. So this is what that building actually looks like. Now, I actually had a bit of difficulty finding this building. I didn't even know it still existed until I saw the colour photo. Oh, wait, I better actually look for it. I'll continue. This is just the official story, who was hanged, etc. We'll move on. So this is the building from the other side to what I showed you before. I don't know. Not sure. Okay, we've got brick wall there. Is that a buttress of some sort coming out of that wall? And that looks like a timber fence up the top. I don't know, this photo just looks very suspect to me as well, but it could just be that it's really, really old. Anyway, the point of showing you that was, so this is the jail, complete. We saw the other side of it. In 1891, doesn't matter. We get up to here, 1899. The Jubilee building opens. Okay. Now this building, the jail, as I found it, is behind this building. I'll show you in a moment. Then this building apparently gets built, which doesn't make any sense to me because they're calling it the Beaufort Street building, but Beaufort Street is up on this side of the Jubilee Hall, the Jubilee building. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Then this one, Hackett Hall, goes on here on this end, and Hackett Hall is still there. I'll show you inside Hackett Hall in a minute. And then, I don't know, that one just magically appeared. So you will note something about these buildings. Anyway, I'll show you where the jail is actually located in relation to these buildings. I think the whole story is meant to make you think that these buildings came one by one, and anyway. This is Hackett Hall. Look at these. And then the Jubilee building, again, cut off windows. This is ground level. This is old James Street. This is now a mall. So it's a walking mall. You can't drive through anymore. I don't know what happened to the other building that was on that. Anyway. This is inside Hackett Hall. Can you get all of that? It's the best I can show it. We had, look at that. Look at the roof. That's, I believe, in the 60s. What an awesome building. Never been there. And then they start wrecking it. And that's kind of what we were left with. So I don't know what they were talking about with that building, unless they meant that building down there. They've since totally destroyed this. I'll show you what's going on with it now in just a moment. I think that's all we need to see there. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you see this building. I'll move to the larger image of it. So this is the Jubilee building. Cut off windows, steps going up. Streets all nice and level. And you've got these strange little, are they parapet walls? Is that what it's called? And they don't seem to fit with anything either. And I don't know if something's happening here. These look like tram lines, I think. And these power lines are going a hell of a long way without support. This is a big building. Anyway, I'll show you around. Okay, so here's the jail. This is the Jubilee building over here. This is Hackett Hall with its beautiful roof lights. And this building, I don't know what this is. I think this is the art gallery, or it was the art gallery at the time. But I can't actually see any description of when that arrived. But this is the jail in here. Now it does say somewhere in there that they had to pull down part of the jail to construct this or this. But, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't... Seems like the strangest arrangement. Whether these buildings all came later and it's all 100% tickety-boo, it may well be. So around the area, I will show you a quick, there's no point walking, I've tried, I'll show you on Google. This one's a fascinating one. It's just the original centre building that I want to look at. Come on, put us on the road. Hello. Okay. This building, nothing unusual about that. Jeez. I did get a date on that. I will check because I did go and read that little plaque and I took a picture of it. So I'll pop that in at the end. I'll look that up for you guys. What else I wanted to show you was they've completely covered in the back now and I can't really see what's going on in there. When I did walk through, it was all covered up even more than it is there. So getting around the corner, you'll notice that's a kind of short building. That's got very big windows and a short lower half. Okay, and there's a cat at my window. Not now, Min. Okay, yeah, this is the trades hall. So this is directly across the road. I'll turn us around in a second. We've got steps going in. We've got strange windows at the bottom. And I still don't know what this building is called, but down here on the corner is where we have the Jubilee building. There's no parapet wall there now. Must have blended it in with that building. And the same at that end, but now this has been blocked off for some time, and it's even worse now. They've got the complete wall around it. Yeah, we'll shoot down here. Okay. So you can see, you can't really see because there's lots of trees and it's lovely. And that's Hackett Hall with its little cut-off arches. Okay, and I'll pop an older photo of that in as well. That was a police building, police barracks, I believe. At some point is now part of the art gallery or the museum, an admin building, I think. Okay, and I'll just show you this one while I'm here. Come on. This building, which looks kind of, I don't know, this stonework doesn't, I think it's stuck on. Doesn't look quite right to me. But I hadn't realised until recently, and I looked at it again, how detailed it is, and I found a picture of it before they've now done a very basic nasty tile roof. So this is a 2-floor building apparently with a basement, and there's a funny little door down there. That's kind of all I can give you of that at the moment, but this is it in its previous life. It's actually quite lovely. And look at all this. Where did that go? What a shame. So there it is as it is now. No portholes, no tech. And this is the police barracks that we couldn't see properly on the other side of the trees. This, I'll put all the links for you in the notes. This would be the police barracks building. This is the police and courts building with the little funny door at the back. And there is the same at this end. There's a strange little door on this side of the building if you come through the mall. So there's potentially another floor under there as well. Alright, and moving on. So, whoops, right place. Okay, we were up here behind Perth City, sort of in the Northbridge area. Cat number 2, not now. Not now. So I'm just going to move over completely to the other side of Kings Park to show you that it's going on everywhere. I want to show you this beautiful building, St George's College. Now, not built until 1931, so the story goes. But look at it. Quite interesting too with all this washed away sand. I mean, that's what happens in Western Australia. We're built, the coastal plateau is largely sand. But yeah, this is under construction. So there's a bit of scaffold and not much happening here. I don't know about this out here. So this is either the retaining walls or maybe something else going on. And the chapel. Now, there's a lot better images of that. This is the foundation stone apparently being laid, because we always do the ceremonial stone in 1929. And this is inside the chapel. I was trying to get a look at the roof timbers. This is probably a better version. So it's got a lovely big organ, timbers, checkered floor. What more could you want in a chapel? And while I've got it open, this is actually inside the college. I think it's the dining hall. It may be used for other things, but I love the timber work. Look at that. That's just beautiful. Look at it all. Anyhow, this is what she looks like. This is just on the St George's College for students. Pardon me. It's just drone footage of the building, but it gives you an idea of the grandeur of it. Is the chapel at the back. This is the retaining walls. Was that what I was looking at before? Pardon me. Okay, so coming back through, there's retaining. This is at a lower level. This is the chapel. I just wanted to stop here and point this out. So this is built up. And this veranda, it must be all added. And then it's cutting off windows. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense why they would do that, but in their infinite wisdom. And that's where it is. Nice place. Okay, so doing our due diligence, just wanted to check that we hadn't missed any disasters. There wasn't anything that they hadn't told us about why these buildings might be half buried or anything like that. And so Wikipedia breaks it down to 100 or more deaths. We'll just stick with those because we're looking for major catastrophes. And I've sorted them by date. So we've got shipwreck, nobody makes it alive. Massacres, these are all in the eastern states, so this is not Western Australia. So the massacres of Indigenous all over. And I was recently reading an article about that. So they've documented the scholar that wrote it. She was talking about how often the police and authorities turn up as being involved. And yeah, it was a surprise to her. Then we have an Australia-wide pandemic in 1788 that lasted nearly 200 years of smallpox. Go figure. Decimated nearly more than 50% of the Aboriginal population. Okay, so bearing in mind that they didn't count Indigenous people until the 60s, they literally didn't count them in population statistics. Those numbers are probably just wild guesses. I don't know. Interesting to note, if you're a vax abolitionist, as I am, I was born in 1968 and I did not get the vaccination, but it was still in the country at the time. Anyway, shipwreck massacre, that's in Victoria, Tasmania, New South Wales, Queensland. Next epidemic of 8,000 people between 75 and 76 was scarlet fever. We've never had a vaccination for that. And flu, 1890s, still only 234 people for a pandemic. And our bubonic plague epidemic was only 550 people in 1900. We must have sent some off to wars. That's a different list. 1918 flu pandemic, 12,000 people. Cyclone, nope. There's no explanation for why there would be a whole lot of flooded or engulfed buildings. But we kind of knew that, didn't we? Okay, so we had swamps as well. This really actually threw me when I found this. I knew there was wetlands that had been reclaimed. I knew there was land by the waterfront. Let me get to the image that was reclaimed. So they've reclaimed even more of this land since this original drawing. This is our site plan. So this would be Kings Park up in the hill here and St George's College where we were over here. This is the bulk of our city, is built on a swamp land, a series of lakes and swamps. Okay, so there's now another street down here, Riverside Drive, and then there's a bit of land in front of that, and then they've also reclaimed a whole lot of land in here to put the freeway through into South Perth. Save all that for a later date. Just looking locally here though, if they only had 3 or 4 blocks, why would you put the city there? Why would you put it on top of, why would you not put it up on all this dry land or somewhere else? Anyway. So this is another plan. This is where the station goes in. So pay attention to that. (1838) this is dated, sorry. And again, this is a slightly better version showing the elevated areas. So this would be the where the cathedral is, higher areas down by the water, and it drops away. Obviously, they filled all this in, and it shows a few. I don't know why would you even create subdivision? They don't look like pretty lakes. You'll see one in a second. So the railway station, which is a huge long building and has been extended with an underground section more down this way, and added to as it's grown over time. This is meant to be the original station. So foundation stone laid on in 1880. None of these windows and this shape really seem to match the other building, unless it's just a middle section of it. I'm not really sure. It doesn't fit, but this is the lake, an empty lake. And that's the station, and the bridge. The station is up here. The bridge goes over behind the station. This is where we were, up in Northbridge, and all that pretty tech on top of the police and courts building. Okay, so that's the station. It's white there. It's back to its original colours here. That's from inside the station, so looking from the Northbridge side. I think that's all of use there. And no, I couldn't see any red brick in there. I did look. There it is. Okay, so today's lesson in Perth Heritage, we will attribute to James Batty. So James Batty was our first chief librarian from Victoria. The Victoria Public Library is our library. He came from Victoria. 1871 to 1954. But he came to West Australia from Victoria in 1894. 1894. So he's 23. Okay. And took up the position as chief librarian. Is that what he was? Librarian. First chief librarian. Took up the post in 1894. And he held the post for 60 years until his death in 1954. So he didn't do much else. And he was very devoted by the sounds of things. He published his own Encyclopedia of Western Australia. And the links are all here. I'll tell you a bit more about Mr. James Sykes Batty. Here's an article about him in the Goldfields edition of the Daily News. Okay, so Dr. James Sykes Batty was Chief Librarian and General Secretary of the institution, as well as the Museum and Art Gallery, born in Geelong, Victoria in 1871. Scholastic career was distinguished. After a state school education, he gained an exhibition scholarship and went on to the Geelong College, there to Melbourne University, BA, Bachelor of Laws, became assistant at Melbourne Public Library and remained there until 1894. And then he became chief librarian, just like that, at 24. So you can finish reading that if you really want to. He also kept good records of the Freemasons, which we might need to look at as we go. I was interested to note in all this that of all the names of lodges may reflect the interest or nationality of original members. So the lodges might travel under other names. Commercial Travellers Lodge, Temperance Lodge, Lodge of Sportsmen, and it goes on and on and on. Black Diamond Lodge. Black Diamond is a mine in Collie. I must look at that. Lodge of Peace, Lodge of Harmony, Caxton Lodge, it's the printing industry. Goes on and on. And look at this building, Freemasons Hall. Now this is long gone, sadly, but look at the glory of it. What a stunning building, and look how big it was. I'm assuming that's a child, no? That's an adult. That's a horse. Yep. I'll see if I can find some more about that building for later expeditions. Okay, so a little bit more about Mr. Batty. Dr. Batty. A leading figure in the fields of literature, art and education in West Australia for many years, died at his home at the age of 82. So that's after 60 years in Perth Library. Dr. Batty was a prominent in the Masonic Order for many years, holding various high offices. And it's due to his efforts that we have our archives, and they were largely built from his own collections. So, and there he is as Grand Master, handing over a cheque to the Colonel here for Army ambulance. I think it was an Army ambulance. And there we have it. That kind of wraps us up for today. So that's where I'm going to leave it for Perth. I'll pop some interesting little photos and tidbits at the end for you. I will move on and I want to talk about the area as a whole, because there's a lot going on outside of Perth. And I want to touch on Fremantle too. I've spent a day in Fremantle taking some pictures, and I didn't nearly get half of it done. There is just so much to see and ponder in Fremantle. And I noticed that autodidactic, sorry if I get that wrong, Campbell, I believe it is, does a history reset mud flood in Fremantle, Australia, and he covered everything that I didn't cover and that I was going to be struggling to cover. So I am so eternally grateful, and I highly recommend, if you're looking at more in Western Australia, to look at Campbell's video. So that's autodidactic, and I will put the link in the notes for you. So that wraps it up. I'll pop some photos in at the end, and thanks for being with me, peeps. I hope you're enjoying the ride so far. I am hanging on for grim death at this point, but loving every minute. Take care. I just wanted to tell you about this as well. This calendar suddenly turned up, as things do, because my mother always has calendars from 2004 in the back of her wardrobe. But she does have a bit of a history with them, and she used to volunteer there. The original image, I think that was on the video. I'll make sure all these get in there at the end. This says, yep, His Majesty's 1904. So you'll note the vacant block right next to it. And then, so Madge was finished in December. It had to be after December. We've got On this one, whoops, sorry, man. This was the building next door, the Truth Building. I love the Truth Building. Is finished now in July 1906. I found another picture, I'll have to check that again, that had the block of land for sale and His Majesty's finished. So in the space of 18 months, the block was bought, the building went up, and the Truth newspaper moved in. Magic. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.